What's up and welcome back to the G-Rad Show. We got to talk about Real Madrid. There is a lot of interesting stuff happening with the world of football, and it relates to Real Madrid, and it definitely affects Real Madrid, and I think it affects them in an extremely positive manner. And I almost feel like Real Madrid right now, I don't want to say they're in like this do or die situation, but the pressure for them to achieve greatness, in a lot of it, it's on. The pressure is on, and with the likes of potentially Mbappe joining Real Madrid, maybe Alphonso Davies, and even with just Mbappe, that alone, the bar for success immediately is going to be set extremely high. So we got to talk about that. We got to talk about what's at stake for Real Madrid and how they could achieve something that maybe not one club has ever achieved, and this is the time for them to do it, especially with what's going on with the rest of the world of football. So let's talk about it. Assuming Real Madrid wins the Champions League, which, you never want to go into the Champions League, especially a Champions League final, expecting to win. But I think it's safe to say that, Real Madrid will probably win this match by 2 goals. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. The bar is going to be set high for next season regardless because it's Real Madrid. Coming off a potential Champions League win and then winning La Liga by a landslide, winning the Super Cup, 3 huge trophies, and then the addition of Mbappe, maybe Alphonso Davies. The bar is going to be set so high for Real Madrid. And like I've previously stated, I'm interested to see how they run things next season, how Ancelotti plays this tactically, formation-wise. Are they going to rotate, some players? Were they ever going to throw Mbappe or Vinny on the right and have Rodrigo float to the center or switch Mbappe and Vinicius, and then Bellingham plays a lot as, like a false 9 type player. So how are they going to utilize him? Is he going to be more of just a central midfielder, not as attacking? So I'm sure it'll get felt out in the first month or so of the season. But nonetheless, the bar is going to be set extremely high. And I think Real Madrid is going to have the potential, and I don't think I'm being outrageous when I say this, to make the next 4, 5, 6 Champions League finals. I think it's honestly realistic for that to happen. Now, winning 3 Champions Leagues in a row, like Real Madrid did with, the team that Madrid had, a couple years back. That's one of the best teams, arguably that, 2014-15 team they had, one of the best teams we've ever seen from Real Madrid, maybe the best. This team, even with Mbappe, it's not as good as that team. But what's going on with the rest of the world of football, it is the best team in the world. And moving forward, it's going to be the best team in the world for a long time. Now, I kind of do want to touch on the rest of the world and how this plays in and reflects on Real Madrid for the next coming seasons moving forward. But if we're being completely honest, there's 3 teams that will be somewhat of a threat to Real Madrid in ruining their Champions League hopes to consistently win for the next, as long as they have the core of this team with Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham, Mbappe, etc. And that is City, Arsenal, and maybe Bayern Munich. Manchester City, what I'll say is, if they keep Pep, great. His contract ends, I think, next season. Now, the thing with City, though, is De Bruyne is getting older. You can see it from a physicality standpoint, stamina, injury prone. All of that is getting worse. And I would be surprised to see him leave in the next 2-3 seasons. And we'll see from an injury standpoint if he consistently can stay healthy. But that's a huge loss. Basically, their best player that City has ever had could be gone in a year or two, which is gonna kill them. Bernardo Silva, one of their other important players, potentially heading off to Barcelona. And I know we consistently hear that, but I definitely think even if it's not Barcelona, he's gone after this year or next year, regardless. And then there's been rumors about Grealish and his future in the club. Erling Haaland, teams know how to shut him down in big matches. Real Madrid did it. Bayern did it last year. Arsenal does it. Liverpool does it. All these teams are doing it in big matches against Erling Haaland, which really hinders their success when he's supposed to be the best striker in the world and he's not doing anything in these big matches. He's getting slowed down. So that hurts their success. Moving forward, I know there's a lot of money they have to spend and they're going to go after some of these players, I'm sure, like Florian Wirtz and Musiala, but their future, I don't think it's going to be as strong as Madrid. Arsenal's going to have a good future. They have a lot of young talent, a couple missing pieces. I think if they can fill those voids, they're going to be fighting to make a couple Champions League runs in the next 2-3 seasons. I wouldn't be surprised to see Arsenal make it to the Champions League final next year or the year after that, or even win a Premier League too. So those 2 teams, yes. The rest of the Premier League, no. Liverpool's kind of in shambles. They kind of lost their identity. Klopp is gone. Salah's going to be leaving, whether that's this year, next year, maybe the year after that. So soon. Van Dijk's getting older. They don't have a real CDM. They need a better center attacking midfielder. I don't think Soboslai's the answer. Darwin Nunez can't finish. Cody Gakpo's not that good. So there's a lot of question marks on Liverpool. Manchester United and Chelsea, disaster. I don't think they'll be winning a Champions League anytime soon, let alone making a run in the Champions League. Tottenham, they're always good, but that's it. They're not going to win a Champions League. Now, when we look at the other leagues, Bayern, kind of a management identity crisis. They don't who's going to be their manager moving forward. Kimmich is probably going to leave. Kane's a little older, still great though. Gnabry and Coman injured. Gnabry's been completely silent the last year or so. Coman, I mean, he's good, but injured and never that consistent. Sané doesn't look too happy, very inconsistent from a goal scoring standpoint this whole season. Davies could leave. Their center backs are not that great. Bayern could be in a weird spot moving forward too. And then when we look at PSG, Mbappe's gone. PSG can't win a Champions League with Mbappe, with Neymar, with Ibrahimovic, Messi, Di Maria. Do we really think they're going to win a Champions League moving forward? I don't think so. Now, the only other leagues, La Liga and Serie A. Serie A is in that spot where they're almost in that back to where we used to be really good. They have good teams. Inter's very good. The last 2 years, they've been pretty good, and I expect them to be good next year. AC Milan has a couple good players. They're a good team, but them, Juventus, Napoli, they're not winning a Champions League. There's no way. And then Barcelona and Atletico, they're always going to give Real Madrid a tough time when they play them. And as great as Real Madrid's going to be, especially if they keep Ancelotti, which I think they should, he's honestly, at this point, he's the best manager in the world right now, 100%. They're going to give Real Madrid a run for La Liga. I wouldn't be surprised. More so Barca than Atletico. I think with Griezmann getting older, potentially leaving soon, I don't think they have what it takes to be that consistent for an entire season to win La Liga. Barcelona, I do think can, especially if they make some of the right signings. But here's the thing with Barcelona. They could do everything right this year. They could cut some players like Rafinha, Ferran Torres, Romeu, Marcos Alonso, etc. Bring in Kimmich, bring in Nico Williams, bring in Xavi Simons, and bring in Bernardo Silva. As great as that is, and that team would be right next to Real Madrid from a talent standpoint. I mean, it's pretty close. Barcelona will never do anything major in Europe until they get a real manager. Xavi's not the answer. Until they get a real manager like Pep, Ancelotti, Mourinho, Luis Enrique, they're not going to be able to get it done. Tactics are everything in big matches. When you have a team like Barcelona playing a team like Bayern or Real Madrid or City where the talent is pretty similar, those tactics and those one or two game-changing players, and then most importantly, the effort that the team gives, like Real Madrid always gives in the Champions League, Barcelona lacks that. So until they change their winning type of mentality and incorporate that into the culture of the club and act like they want to win and then get a real manager, they're not going to be competing in Europe. Madrid is in the perfect spot. The rest of the world is kind of stagnant or going downhill when they are going up. They just signed Bellingham. They're about to get Mbappe, maybe Alphonso Davies. They have the best keeper in the world with Courtois. This team, and it's not an unrealistic thing to say, if they win the Champions League this season, which is very likely to happen, they could easily win the Champions League next season and the season after that, and even make the Champions League final for the next couple seasons after that. Or even if they make the Champions League final for the next 5 years, they have such a good chance to achieve something that I don't think any club ever could achieve. That unbelievable Real Madrid team that won 3 Champions Leagues in a row, what was it, like 16, 17, 18? They could do that right now. They could win in 24. 25, 26, 27. And it's not a crazy thing to say. As hard as it is to win in the Champions League, it's not hard for Real Madrid. They make the impossible look possible. They make the extremely hard matches. It's like when I was watching Bayern and it was the 85th minute, more so just watching as a spectator, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, it'd be cool to see Bayern win, but it's not going to happen. I just, that Madrid's just going to, it's going to happen. Were they great goals that Madrid scored? No, but they just forced this extreme pressure on Bayern. They couldn't handle it. They made some mistakes, and Madrid capitalizes. They don't make mistakes in those big matches, and they're so disciplined. They always, always, always have a top manager, and it's so key. And on top of that, they're going to have basically the best players in the world in almost every single position. They're going to have Bellingham, Vinicius, Mbappe. The world thinks those are the best 3 in the world. They're going to be at Real Madrid together for many, many, many years. As much as I think Mbappe does not need to go there, Madrid does not need Mbappe. They should sign a real striker like a Victor Osimhen, Julian Alvarez, Lautaro Martinez, someone like that. It doesn't matter, and it makes sense. They're going to sell so many Mbappe kits. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. It's just like when Beckham came to Real Madrid. Their revenue, tripled or something when he came. It's going to be such a similar situation when he arrives. And honestly, the rest of the world of football, I feel bad for every other team because Real Madrid is going to be dominating the Champions League until this core group of players can't walk. I don't really see it any other way. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think, honest opinion, do you think Real Madrid has the potential to win 3 or 4 Champions Leagues in a row, or at least make the Champions League final for the next 4 or 5 years in a row. If there was something I could do to place a bet that guaranteed Real Madrid after this season made the Champions League semifinal for the next 5 years, at a minimum the semifinal, I would place that bet. That's how confident I am with this team and the success that they're having. And then with the addition of Mbappe, and if Carlo Ancelotti stays, it's going to be dangerous for the rest of the world. Real Madrid fans you guys are lucky. I mean, it's always in a great place financially. Deep down inside, secretly, I might have to turn to a Real Madrid fan for a while, because it's going to be crazy, because they're going to be dominating every single trophy, tournament, league, Champions League, everything in Europe, I think, for a long time. If you guys made it this far, I appreciate you guys sticking around. I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope to see you guys back here next time on the G-Red Show.